Ever thought you could have a better life, better money, better job if you change your conversation you have? We're going to talk about that today. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Friday, friends.
Woo!
Yeah,
Bit of improvising this morning. We decided we were going to go for a walk later than usual, and so we're standing in some... Yes, this is me. I'm standing. Mark goes, how's that set up? And I go, yeah, it's good. And I was literally down here. This is how it looked. I was like, yeah, no, that's perfect.
That looks
But
good.
we can't show you this woman's face on TV. So I quickly ran into the cafe to get a crate.
It looks
I
good.
like it, actually.
looks
I
good.
like it.
Milk crate Lisa. Hey.
All right, Friday Frenzy, guys. This is us. We're actually walking around the Big Smoke this morning and thought we'd just chat about what's been going on this week. It's been another really, really crazy week, hasn't it, with those interest rate rises. This is what we want to talk about this morning. Guys, if someone can just give us a thumbs up just to make sure that you can hear us properly. We're just a little bit worried about the quality of sound.
Some comments. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning to everyone who's tuning in.
Morning,
So
Jack.
interest rates, let's talk about that because it is the talk of the town. We don't want to talk about the boring side of interest rates. What we want to do is we want to talk about the negative Nancy's and the recruiters of the negative Nancy's, because it's quite interesting, isn't it? You'll hear the person who goes, interest rates. I mean, there's something that came up on my social media last night. I wrote, what was the quote that you put in, Mark, about
You made $300,000 on property the last couple of years, and you're complaining you're paying $5,000 more a year. Sounds like a good deal to me.
Yes.
That was the quote.
So off the back of that, I had quite a lot of comments come through on my social media, and there was a guy who wrote a novel. I won't read it out to you now because it could go on for quite some time, but he was so negative. Can't you see there is a recession looming? La, 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 la. You know, and look, the reality is, how do you know that? Like, how does this guy know that? That's incredible. He must have a better crystal ball than any of us. And then obviously there was a lot of comments that came off the back of that as well. But often what I find is these people are generally negative about absolutely everything.
And also, I think
The rain,
Yeah, but
COVID.
You look at some of the, like I look at selling, like obviously you look at churches, and I've got to watch what I'm saying, but you look at churches and stuff like that. And a lot of people want to, like, I'm not a churchy person, but a lot of people, sell hope and sell positivity and sell direction.
Yes,
and
they do it for a living.
It's a very saleable commodity.
Anthony Robbins.
Anthony Robbins. And then you get people that actually sell the opposite. And that's also it's very easy to talk about that as well. And I found that the last couple of weeks or months that you can get sticky on a conversation about interest rates, goes nowhere. You can actually goes down. You can get sticky about conversation on rain. You can get sticky on a conversation on COVID.
Yep.
And they're all things that we can't actually change in our life. And you think to yourself,
Yeah.
no matter how much you actually talk about those three topics or any other topics that
Negative
you can't
self.
change,
It's
you
true.
think to yourself,
Yeah.
and I get that there's a bonding thing, like you have something in common, so that's what you talk about, and that's how you build rapport. But I know I've been speaking about it with the team, and I said, can you imagine if we wiped out in our business 40, 45 staff? Every conversation we have, conversations all day, every day.
Yeah.
Every conversation we have, if you wipe out the COVID combing conversation,
Yes.
the weather.
How many
combing.
hours in your week are you
Yeah.
gaining? How many
Can
hours
you
in your
imagine?
week? Yeah.
Can you imagine
But
the
you
productivity
find-
that's lost in those conversations? It's just.
But what you find is, Mark, that person is very comfortable being that negative. So, they'll be like,
I'm not.
interest
I'm not.
rates. No, and it's frustrating.
not.
You actually
Yeah,
feel the
it's like
frustration
next.
when you don't buy into that negative conversation with them. You're like, yeah, no, look, real estate's been pretty good to everyone the last 40 years. I'm not sure it's going to change the next 40 years. Oh, but the recession that's looming.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know about that because...
But is that like, I get if it's a question they're saying to their realtor saying, look, how do you think interest rates are going to affect us? But it's not. It's a speech. It's a chant.
Yeah.
They chant about the weather, they chant about COVID, and they chant about interest rates. And you're going like, where's this chant going?
No, exactly. Where's it going? And how do they know? How are they so confident about it as well?
Yeah.
But, you know, look, the interest rate thing, it's obviously a big topic of conversation. You know, here's the interesting thing, guys. I've actually listed 5 properties this week, and not one single one. I actually put something on my socials about how it's great. You know, there's some good stock coming on. Stock levels dried up for a little while. And someone wrote, yeah, they're all, you know, desperate vendors needing to sell. It's happening already. And I was like, no, actually, not one single vendor is selling because they're in debt. They're selling because of just whatever other reasons they were going to sell.
The stories are selling are and buying are essential, I reckon. People are going, you know what? It's got to happen. Got to do it. Want it like it's essential sales and essential purchase, but I wouldn't say desperate sales or desperate purchases.
But Mark, they are most of the time. Like most vendors I speak to, they're not like, oh, well, you know, we've been coerced into selling and, you know, our friends all moved out of the area. I mean, that's not the case. You know, I'm rarely dealing with a vendor. In fact, I reckon out of all the properties that I've sold, I'm really dealing with a vendor who absolutely must sell. You know, death, divorce, debt, of course. But the vendor that called up and said, oh my God, interest rates, they're killing me. I'm drowning. The cost of fruit and veg has gone up so much. I'm drowning. That conversation just hasn't happened. And, you know, is it going to happen? I don't know, guys. You know, I'm just thinking people will probably stop going out for breakfast before they will put their property on the market. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Am I right or wrong?
I reckon.
Yeah.
It's, you know what? It just keeps going.
And we're not being oblivious.
It just keeps going. It just keeps
it
going.
does.
You know, people buy, people sell. Like it just keeps evolving.
I mean, I don't know.
As you know.
Has anyone noticed how many people have been overseas?
You're nuts. And going back overseas in like September or something, or big
surely
travels,
you would like pay your mortgage as over and above going to Europe. You know what I mean? Like there's things that you can just cut back on before you would go selling your property.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
And look, and I think also the big motive for our friends in government, our big motive with friends in government is to slow down inflation. So the reason why they're putting these rates up is to just slow it down a little bit. They're slowing it down because they think they can, and they know they can because.
Would they have been better?
I'm hearing about.
Would they have been better, Mark, just putting up interest rates in one big swoop rather than doing 0.5, 0.75, 0.25s? Would they have been better off just putting interest rates up 3%?
Shock and awe.
Would that have been better?
Shock and awe of the community.
Well, would that have been better? Or is it better to drip feed? So
I don't know why we question that. Like these guys that are making these decisions are much more seasoned, are much more educated than me. Do you know what I mean? So I sort of have trust that these guys know what they're doing.
But this is how it's done. You know, if you look at the way we were given information about COVID, like Mark and I were having this conversation the other day. What do you do if you have COVID?
Like doctor?
No, what do you do if you have COVID now? Like I was like, do you isolate for 7 days? I think so. And then someone said, no, I think it's 5 days. And then someone goes, I don't know if you need to do it anymore. Yeah. And then someone else turns around and said, I don't know if do your kids and families still need to isolate if you get COVID? That information is not made public now for a reason.
But we've been around COVID 3 cycles now, and every single cycle the government's handled it differently.
Yeah.
Right, with the community. Now with interest rates, the government's actually cycled that 30 times or 20 times. They know what to do and what works and what
how
doesn't work.
And how to drip feed the community.
So to answer your question, is it better to go up the interest rates up in one foul swoop? I think these guys
managing perception.
They know what they're doing. They've done it before. It's not like COVID where it's new and it's fine.
They're just managing perception, that's all.
I still love Lisa's milk crate. I've got to show you the milk crate again. It's really...
I'm not taller than that.
It's really good milk great. That's stunning.
It's working well. I
all right,
actually
so
like
what
that.
el-
I like being with
What
stores.
else in Friday Frenzy?
What else in Friday Frenzy? We're definitely seeing more stock coming on. I actually did a little video yesterday with
So
our
stock
resident.
you can say in hindsight, stock was dry.
So stock was dry.
Across the whole market.
Yeah. And look, we probably list and sell more than the average agent. So if we're saying stock levels were drying up, it was coming in dribs and drabs. But, I've had a significant amount of listings this week and a huge amount of appraisals.
People were
I'm gonna-
away.
Yeah, people were away, exactly. But I'm going to say it's going to be a busy spring. Is the market going to continue to fall? I don't believe it will. I think it's probably level now. On the beaches, it went up about 30% and came down about 20%. That's about right.
Yep.
What would you think?
Yeah, I think so. And look, I think
Yeah.
what I learned from COVID-1 with property was when uncertainty was set upon people literally did nothing.
Yeah.
So when people were uncertain when it came to property, don't buy, don't sell, do nothing. And I found that with the interest rate rises and all the uncertainty cast upon our Australian community, people did nothing. So it wasn't like when I say I don't mean like there was zero.
Yeah.
But people sort of just stop and think. And I think and I know that's exactly what happened. After COVID last time when people did nothing, all the trades that didn't get done then got done.
Yeah.
It actually just went boom.
But you know
and
what?
it could do that now.
But can I tell you something, Mark? I launched a really great property that I've got in Freshwater. Freshwater's a really appealing suburb on the Northern Beaches.
Yeah.
Very tightly held. 21 Carlton Street in Freshwater. That launched out to realestate.com last week. I have been swamped with inquiry. That's reminiscent of a hot market. So don't think for a moment that there's not buyers out there. And I keep saying it, don't think for a moment that the market is as bad as what people are making out. It's come down. So you went up 30%, you came down 20%. I'm not much of a mathematician, but it still sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
I reckon in our market over 3 years, I reckon it's about a 50% gain.
There you go.
Yeah. So
Okay.
then if there was a correction of 10 or 20% from whether for units or houses or whatever it may be, people are still up,
Yeah.
people are still making money. What else?
Um,
Any weird fun stuff?
no,
Know that?
I was-
Friday Frenzy?
Always weird and fun stuff. But I was chatting yesterday with Rob, our photographer.
Yeah.
Rob does the majority of photography for our agency, but he also works for some other agents as well. And I was like, you know what? Don't ask the agent what's going on with the market. Ask the guy who's out taking the photos of properties for a range of agents in the area. And he was saying the same thing. He's like, it's been quiet for 4 weeks. It's definitely starting to get busier now. And he's like, get your property on the market now. They're cool. I love talking to those guys.
Rentals?
The tradies and people like
Oh,
that.
rentals. Rentals is
Rentals,
pumping.
yeah, rentals is pumping. It's not up as much as what the news is making out, though. Not on the beaches.
Yeah.
We had a good chat with our property managers last week,
Yeah, mate.
and Mark thinks he's a politician. He's the people's people. The guy looks very confused, I'll be honest.
That's how we do things these days. You just pull up on the side of the road, just bust out alive.
Stand in an alleyway.
Just
I ran
bust-
into a cafe and I was like, can I just quickly borrow your milk crate, please?
Bust out alive. and
Why
done.
not? The power of these mobile phones. But the
Yes.
rental market it's not as
Investors
strong.
Investors aren't around.
Oh no, I reckon they are.
I reckon a lot of rental markets have left. A lot of rental properties have left a lot of rental properties have left
The cashed up investors
the
are
property
around.
market.
Yes.
So I think there's less to choose for tenants because people have disposed of their property because they made a bit of money.
Yeah.
Definitely houses are hot stuff, and definitely 1-bedroom units and studios are a bit colder. But people are loving the bigger houses because COVID.
Renovated.
They're working from home.
Yep.
They want to rent something a bit bigger.
I've got 2 amazing apartments, by the way, that I'm just bringing on in Manly. That is an amazing suburb.
Before we go,
A beautiful 2-bedder and a beautiful 1-bedder.
What are we doing on the weekend?
What are we going to do on the weekend? I think I saw something about a staff night tomorrow night, going out for some drinks with the crew.
DYRE.
So I think we might head down and have a few bevies with the crew. And Sunday we're talking about
Saturday.
getting a ferry to somewhere.
Yep.
We thought maybe we'd
Jump on
go,
a ferry.
jump on
go
a
for
ferry.
breakfast somewhere.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not going to rain.
Don't talk. I was like, don't say that, Mark. Don't say that.
You know, I'm not coming from a point of like.
He's actually not a
It's an observation.
He's
point
not.
that
I must say,
was talking about today.
Mark is not a negative person. Like if I'll come home and have a whinge about something, he'll be like, "Yeah, but," he's always like seeing the brighter side of things. Seriously, very positive.
It's all, I like, you know. Anyway, I do trash talk. I'm not saying I don't trash talk, but I am saying it's not productive and it doesn't.
You won't buy
you
into.
can't
You won't buy
change
into the haters, though. You won't buy into it.
No.
Yeah. So never start a conversation, guys, with the weather, the rain, COVID. Honestly,
Interest rates.
You surely have got better things to spend your valuable time on. Life is way too precious.
Yeah.
I've heard about way too many people with illnesses over the last couple of weeks. Too many for my liking.
And to our friends out there, I won't say any names. We have lost a friend in our community in DY, and she passed away yesterday.
Yes.
And
Our hearts go out.
wishes and
Our hearts go out to you. Yeah.
I think,
Love you guys.
partner could be watching, so yeah.
All right. Lots of love to everyone. Stay
Love ya.
positive.
See
Have
ya.
a great day.
Bye.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
You told me not to move.